So Amber, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your story here at Lee, because I think you've seen God do some pretty amazing things. If I remember right, your first semester was horrible. I remember. Well, why don't you talk about it?
Well, I wasn't planning on going to grad school for music. I wasn't planning on doing music at all. And God has slowly just kind of inserted that into my life and showed me small steps that this dream that I have can be a reality in Him. And I was getting ready to go to grad school for English because to me, I love to read, that was just easier. And He presented Lee to me. I didn't even know Lee existed. And I was looking at the descriptions of like whatever programs there were here for grad school, and I came across church music, and I never even gave it a consideration until my choir director for my undergrad said, you should really look into this. You should think about pursuing music further. And so I looked at the description, the program description of church music here, and I was sold. Like, that's how I felt like God said, this is what you're going to do. And it was very last minute. But the music program in my undergrad was really underdeveloped. It was brand new. And it's grown a lot now. But at the time, I just didn't get a full education. And I didn't even start studying music until my junior year of college. So when I came here, I was very underprepared. And it was a big step for me to go and audition and interview at 3 different grad schools. I suffered from major stage fright and anxiety and getting in front of people, and he made it possible for me. And I got rejected from one grad school, and I got accepted to 2 different programs, and I chose to come here, and I'm really glad I did, because I feel like God created opportunity for me here to grow a lot through the professors, through my grad students, my friends. And I'm surprised I actually made it, I feel like God just kind of went before me through the entire process, just putting me with the right people at the right time who gave me a chance, who believed in me and gave me a chance. And I'm beyond grateful that I had that opportunity.
That's neat. I remember in oral skills, there was one person in that class who would just disappear and come back with tears, and sometimes it was just a breakdown right in class. That was you, but now you did a worship festival, you're singing in front of people, you're leading. How did you get from that from your oral skills class? And really there was change within that oral skills class, so maybe we should start there and then eventually get to the bigger picture.
Yeah, my biggest thing for overcoming anxiety has always been preparation. If I prepare and prepare and prepare, I can at least do a mediocre job, But with oral skills, having not had barely any time to try to build that skill, because it's a skill class, I can't just prepare. It's something I had to build over time, and I only had a few months to do it. And it was really difficult. That's why I would run out of class, because I panicked. I couldn't. You'd tell me to sing in front of these people, which I can sing in front of people if I prepare, and it's something I've never seen before, and I break down, and I can't read music in that moment, and I don't even know what pitch is, I just kind of totally freak out. But just kind of taking a moment and stepping back and allowing God to bring me peace in that moment and tell me, it's okay, and I can breathe, and I can just look at this, this, and you can do this. And I think that and the fact that I had people like you who were rooting for me. It helps when someone's wanting me to succeed instead of wanting me to fail. And I was embarrassed being a grad student in front of an entire class of sophomores in college, and being like the bottom, I felt like the bottom of the totem pole, and crying and hyperventilating. But I don't feel like anybody in that class wanted me to fail, and I think that encouragement, and you could just feel the love of Christ through everyone in there, helped me to get through that. And that's been my entire experience here. People beside me wanting me to succeed, as opposed to wanting me to fail. And I really believe that's how I've come from point A to point B, is through my relationships with people here.
I see. Wow, that's something. So, as you look at toward the end of your time at Lee, because you just finished up, you have your degree. Before we look forward, why don't you take just a minute to talk about some of the successes that you've had of late?
Successes pertaining to school?
Yeah, well, yeah, start there.
Okay. Well, I view my grades as a success. That's just me. I did really well on all of my classes, working really hard. Not necessarily that I went in smart, but just putting a lot of effort into it. To me, I feel like that's a success. I didn't give up when I really wanted to. There was times that I just didn't think I could do it, and I just wanted to quit because I just felt so inadequate and so like I didn't have the ability, and I didn't quit. And to me, that's a huge success, and I'm glad I didn't quit. My worship festival is probably the biggest project I've ever done in my life. You know, I had my senior voice recital, which is a big thing up until then, but my worship festival, I worked so hard on it. You know, I had to think. I received this vision from God, and I had to pray, and then I had to do my research, and I made it happen. Every single detail I planned out for months before I even started putting it together. And you know, I only had so much time because you're working with people and you're interning at a church that already has their own ministry going, and here I am inserting myself and saying, hey, can I use your resources? Can I use your people? And I was actually at a church that nobody there could read music. There were a couple of Lee students that could read music. So like, they're talented, but they couldn't read music, and I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? I've never worked with people who can't read music. I've always worked with people on like a college campus, and I think my favorite part of the entire process was working with a choir, seeing them taking this piece of music, which maybe we wouldn't see as difficult, but I knew it would stretch them. And they began it, and they were awful. It was just so terrible. I was like, I'm going to have to throw this piece out. Like, there's no way. And I gave them a recording, and I said, you know, listen to this. And I met with people individually. I basically gave voice lessons, you know, and I worked really hard with them, and they worked really hard. And on the day of my festival, I was gleaming with pride that they were here, and then they were there. And I feel like that was a huge success for me and my ability to like lead them through that. And because I struggle with inadequacy, and to have God use me to grow that shows me that's what I want to do with my life. You know, I want to bring people from point A to point B, just like people have brought me from point A to point B. So definitely my worship festival, getting in front of everyone and leading the entire thing, like all of it, every single detail. Like nobody did anything for me. It was just me, and it was God, and it was incredible. Yeah. So that is definitely, I'm very proud of it. Yeah. Very proud.
That's neat. Can you talk now about some of these opportunities that are opening up for you now?
Yes, my former piano professor from my undergrad, she is now taking over the music program at my undergrad, and it's just really run away with it, like grown it so much since I left. And she started an organization. It was an outreach organization called Opportunity. Tune is capitalized.
Got it.
And it's for the children in the community, a lot of them disabled children, like autism, like mental disabilities, and using music to kind of reach them and give them that opportunity. And I guess I don't know everything about it yet because I haven't been there while she was doing it. I know she had a lot of the students, the music students, like giving lessons to these kids, and it's just become really successful, and it's becoming too much for her to handle. And so she called me, and she wants to create an opportunity for me to be the assistant director to the program, which it wouldn't be full-time right now, but she's also wanting me to work with a praise band on campus and maybe teach a couple classes. So she's tailoring this position just for me to be able to use my church music training and my just plain music training and my English degree, which I'm like, I have this English degree in there, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And she's trying to incorporate everything, and then some of my administrative skills and other skills that I've gained through other jobs. And it's just, I was just thinking, before I ever got that call, we had a conversation. Yeah. And I had a conversation with a fellow grad student who planted the seed inside of me, and this is all just like a few weeks span. who said something about starting a nonprofit organization for kids, creating opportunities for them. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I kind of sat on that for a little while. I couldn't really develop it because I was too busy going through comps and my worship festival and trying to graduate. And then we had a conversation, and you were the first person I talked to about it.
Huh.
I had never really discussed it with anyone, and I still hadn't like thought through it or anything. And my former piano professor, was texting me, and she was like, well, what kind of job, what's your dream job? And I told her, well, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure that out. And she was like, okay, that's okay. And she asked me what kind of jobs I would be interested in. I told her a little bit about that. I said I haven't really developed it. I haven't done any research. It's just there, and I know that's something I would be interested in doing. And then she turned around and offered me this opportunity to be the assistant director to this program, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, God just put this in my heart, and then bam, bam, and here it is. And I am overwhelmed. I don't know. She's got a meeting set up with the provost and the president at the undergrad on the 31st of this month, and so I think that might be when I'll find out if she's got official approval. But she does have the funding to pay me for that position. So
wow,
it's incredible. I am overwhelmed by that opportunity.
That is something else. Praise God. If you could talk to somebody who's like yourself, maybe at the start of a very challenging course or series of courses in music or whatever, and maybe they have that same kind of emotional overload where it's really hard to trust that this is going to turn out well, and it's very tempting to just jump ship. What would you say to somebody like that? What have you learned from God that would be helpful for them to know?
I think, my biggest struggle is not having my own ability, really, just to be able to do it easily. That's something that I've always struggled with God. Like, why can't it just come easily to me? And I would assume someone else in my position would have the same feeling. Like, I'm just going to give up because I'm surrounded by all these people who just seem to it just comes out of them, and they don't have to work as hard. Not saying that they didn't work hard. Not saying I know their story, but it seems that way, and it's really discouraging. I think the biggest thing I learned is just trusting God and the opportunity for God to be glorified, because you can't boast in yourself when you know that God is the one that really like drove the whole thing. Like, you could see it laying out, like one step in front of everywhere you're going, one step in front of you. You just see that God kind of like, oh, and that hard work, working really hard, I think, has made me into a really effective tool for ministry. And if this is what I want to do with my life, if I want to help people progress and to reach their potential, it's good that I had to do it too, because I don't feel like I could communicate with them or be able to get on their level and walk with them if I hadn't had to do it in my own life. And I feel like I would want to encourage them not to give up, because I would assume that someone who kind of started from where I am probably would have the same kind of heart to want to help other people grow as well. And I would just share with them my experience and what kind of character building it is to work hard and to not give up, and how rewarding it is when you can finish it, when you can finish what you started, and when you know what God is doing through you and that God is glorified for it. So I don't know if that's would help any, but that's probably what I would say.